Hi, I'm Kimberly Ryan, and for my unboxing, since I'm a high school librarian, I have YA books, and I've chosen the theme Power Struggles. Now, especially in dystopians, you have your protagonist trying to buck the system because somebody has all the power and they see that it's unjust and kind of want to change things. So the first book that I've chosen is The Selection. So in The Selection, you have a caste system, and you have a king and queen in charge, and the people are getting restless. So in order to appease them, they decide to have a selection. Most of the time, the royal family will do that when they have a son or a daughter, but they have a son. So they're kind of make do. So it's basically a teenage bachelorette. But the king and queen are in charge. So what I would have my kids do with this book is, if they are female or identify as female or whatever, they could write an application as if they were going to enter the selection. How would they try and sell themselves? My males could write what would they be looking for. So they have all these different people trying to compete for their hand in marriage. So what would be their criteria? Like, what would be automatic deal breakers? What would they cross off? And kind of who would they be looking for in the selection? So again, the royal family has the power. In Pawn, absolutely amazing. So another caste system, but this one is kind of reversed. So in this one, the lower the number, like the 1, is the elite. This one is the opposite. You want a higher number. So in this one, you take a test when you're a teenager, I believe it's 13, and you get a ranking. So 3 is really not acceptable. 4 is kind of the lowest that you want to get a decent job. So, of course, our main character takes the test and gets a 3, and she's going to be separated from the boy that she loves. So she kind of goes underground and realizes that there's this drift in the royal family, and she is used as a pawn, hence the name. So what I would do with my class is have them create their own test. So if you're going to have some type of test to decide someone's future, what type of questions would you have on those tests? What would your ranking system be? So they would kind of create their own system. So pawn, again, a royal family, but there's a drift. The kind of royal family is split in their beliefs, and one side is trying to take down the other. In Enclave, this is kind of an underground society. Something has happened above Earth, so they're all living underground, and they have created their own hierarchy, and they have different jobs and different needs. So the hunters and searchers are kind of in control. They're the ones that have all the information. You have different roles. We have breeders, reproducers, and so each person kind of is assigned a job. So what I would do with my kids with this one is have them decide, if you were living in an isolated society, what roles would you need to survive? So, who would be in charge of what, and how do you decide who gets what job? So in Enclave, it's really the hunters, because they're the ones going out and exploring the areas. They're the brave ones. You don't know what you're going to encounter, and you can kind of report back what you saw. So you never know if they're really telling the truth or kind of what's behind their motives. So the searchers are kind of in control with this one. Unwind. Dark, creepy concept. So in Unwind, I believe at age 16, your parents can choose to have you unwound, which is basically an organ donation system, except you're still alive. So parents can decide to do this for a couple different reasons. One, you're just an out-of-control child, and they just cannot take control of you, and so you can be unwound. Some do it more as a religious choice, how some people give 10% to church, they give up their 10th child, etc. So in this one, our main character is going to be unwound, and he runs away and kind of finds this underground society of children who are set to be unwound, and they kind of come up with their own system. So in this one, the parents have all the control. Like, you can't say, oh, sorry, that's not going to happen. So in this one with my kids, I would have them decide, if you were set to be unwound, what would you do? You knew you had 24 hours left until you would not exist anymore. What would kind of be on your bucket list? How would you spend those last 24 hours? So this one would be a strict just writing activity. And then in Origin, Our main character lives on this island, and she is genetically created. She kind of knows like whose genes she came from, so she knows her mother, and she's created basically in a test tube, and she lives on this island and in this classroom. She is only taught math and science, but not social studies and literature. They want to keep her knowledge limited. They don't want her to know that this whole outside world exists. She knows that she is going to live forever. And so in this one, the scientists have all the control. They limit literally where she can go, what she can do, and what exists. So what we would do is, if you were scientists, what type of quote-unquote person, what would you create? What would their ability be? So she is immortal. She cannot die. So what type of person would you create and why? So kind of getting them thinking outside the box, kind of like a superhero. Like, what traits would you have? What would that person be able to do? So those are my choices. And again, my theme is, basically dystopian. That was kind of sci-fi. We did put the selection in romance, but basically this outside world where other people are in control. So I hope you liked my themes.